Good morning. Another lecture with comprehension. The text entitled It's Only Me. After her husband had gone to work, Mrs. Richards sent her children to school and went upstairs to her bedroom. Here we have two clauses connected by after. This is the word we connected two clauses. The first clause, her husband had gone to work, comma. This is had gone, past perfect. The second clause, Mrs. Richards sent her children to school, sent, okay? And went upstairs, went also past simple. So here the clauses are connected by after, and the first clause must be done or completed earlier, and the other clauses come later. So we have time sequence. Okay, all the actions happened in the past, but had gone, past perfect, happened earlier than past simple. Okay? She was too excited to do any housework that morning, for in the evening she would be going to a fancy dress party with her husband. Okay? She was too excited to do. Here, this structure, to, adjective, to, verb base. It means here that the adjective was in the highest level, that the verb is negative. Here, implied negative. Okay, this is the pattern, as you see. To, adjective, to, verb base. Here, she was too excited to do any housework that morning, as in the text. It means that she didn't do any housework. Okay, implied negative. She didn't do any housework. Why? Because she was very excited. Okay? Another example. The workers are too tired to work today. It means that today the workers are too tired. The workers are not working or couldn't work. Why? Because they are very tired. So again, implied negative without not. Very good. The tea is too hot to drink. The tea is too hot to drink. It means I can't drink the tea because it's very hot. Okay? Good. Back to the text. So, she was too excited to do any housework that morning. For in the evening she would be going to a fancy dress party with her husband. What does it mean for? Dress party. Parties when they wear different clothes, especially they cover the face so you don't know the others. Okay? She intended to dress up as a ghost, and as she made her costume the night before, she was impatient to try it on. Again, she intended to, aimed, wanted, okay, wanted to dress up, disguise, okay, dress up, disguise, as a ghost, okay, you try it on. How to try it on? You wear to check whether it is suitable or not, okay. So here, as she had made her costume the night before, she was impatient to try it on. What does it mean, as? Why? No. Because, very good. So here, as, we studied as also just like for in different meaning. As means while, okay, sometimes as means like, very good. But here as means because, okay. We can say because she had made her costume the night before, she was impatient to try it on. Very good. Though the costume considered only of a sheet, it was very effective. Also, we have two clauses here. Okay? Though, what does it mean? Though. Although, good. Or even though. Or we can replace it with other, despite the fact that. Okay? What is the relation between the two clauses that we join them with though? What is the contrast? There is contrast in meaning. Okay? If the meaning is okay, I mean cause and effect, there is a correlation in meaning, we use because of, as. But here there is contrast in meaning. Okay? Though the custom considered only of a sheet, okay, it was effective. Just like when we say, though she studied hard, she failed in the exam. Contrast in meaning, studied hard, you imagine passed the exam. But you say failed. So though or although, okay? Although I took a taxi, I arrived late. When you take a taxi, it means you will arrive at least in time or early. Arrive late, here, contrast in meaning. So here, contrast in meaning, okay, the custom considered only a sheet, okay, it was very effective. Okay? What does mean effective? Yes? Attractive. Okay? Or not efficient. Can influence others. Effective. Can affect others. From the verb affect. Okay? After putting it on, Mrs. Richards went downstairs. Okay? Again. After also join two clauses, and there is time sequence. The clause after the word after occurs first, and the other clause later. But here we don't have a clause, we have a phrase after the word after. Putting it on, what kind of a phrase this? No? Gerund, present participial phrase. We have gerund, verb with ing. Okay? What is the subject of this verb?
Putting it on.
What is the subject of putting it on? The same. You will find it after the comma, Mrs. Richard. Okay? So who put it on? Mrs. Richard. Okay? So after putting it on, if we want to change it into a clause, we will say after Mrs. Richard put it on, comma, she went downstairs. Okay? So, put on, what does mean? Put on.
Try.
No. No. Dress. Wear. Okay? Dress or wear. Put on. Mrs. Richard went downstairs. It means that her room was upstairs. Okay? As I told you, you need to read to understand, not only read. Okay? Good. She wanted to find out whether it would be comfortable to wear. It refers to what? To the costume, to the dress. Okay? She, Mrs. Richard, okay? Wanted to, we can say, aim to, plan to, wish to, okay? Find out, to see or to check, okay? To see whether, if it would be comfortable to wear. What does mean comfortable? Suitable or convenient or easy to wear. Okay? Just as Mrs. Richards was entering the dining room, there was a knock at the front door. Also, two clauses, okay? Just as, okay, in the time that she was entering, okay, the dining room, there was a knock at the front door. Here, what does it mean as? No. While, very good. While, how do you know it is while? You have sequence in time. We call it time sequence. Past continuous and past simple. So when you see a clause in past continuous just like this, was entering, and then the second clause, past simple, with as, it means while. Okay? So, while Mrs. Richard was entering the dining room, there was a knock at the front door. She knew that it must be the baker. So, she knew that it must be, it means that she told him in advance. Okay? So she guessed that she thought that he is the baker, okay? She had told him to come straight in if ever she failed to open the door and to leave the bread on the kitchen table, okay? So she had told him refers back to the baker. So she had told him, again, past perfect, it means earlier, she told him, to come straight in, come in, enter the house, straight, directly, okay? If ever, it means in case, okay, she failed to open. What does mean fail to? If she didn't open. Here, fail is not the opposite of pass or succeed. No, here didn't, okay? If she failed to open the door. And to leave the bread, because as we say, she told him, so to leave the bread on the kitchen table. Not wanting to frighten the poor man, Mrs. Richard quickly hid in the small storeroom under the stairs. Okay? What kind of a phrase here? Again, not wanting. Again, gerund, the same as the first one we talked about. Present participial phrase. Started with verb with ing, but here in negative form. Not wanting to frighten the poor man. Again, what is the subject of this phrase? You will find it after the comma, Mrs. Richard, the same. Okay? So, not wanted to frighten. What does it mean frighten? Scare. Not want, okay, to scare the poor man. Poor is the opposite of rich? No. So, unlucky. Very good. Unlucky man. Mrs. Richard quickly hid in the small storeroom under the stairs. So, here's the situation. When she heard the knock at the front door and she was alone in the house, so this person is going to be frightened. And she thought that it must be the baker, so she hid in this room and she thought that the baker will come and put the bread on the kitchen table and leave. This is the situation was, okay, in her mind. Okay, she heard she heard the front door open and heavy footsteps in the hall. Okay, so the person who opened the door went to the hall, not to the kitchen. Okay. Suddenly, the door of the storeroom was opened and a man entered. Here, suddenly, surprisingly, okay? So, she was astonished. She was surprised, okay? Because the door of the storeroom was open. Who opened this door? The man, okay? So, again, she thought that he would be the baker, but he was another person. Because this person came directly to the storeroom, okay? And a man entered. Mrs. Richard realized that it must be the man from the electricity board who had come to read the meter. So here, Mrs. Richard realized, discovered, or knew in the past, not now, knew. Okay, realize that it must be the man who, okay, from the electricity board who had come, again, had come, past perfect, to read the meter. So here, it was a surprise for her, because she thought that the man will be the baker, but it was another man, okay? She tried to explain the situation, saying, it's only me, but it was too late. Here the situation. When in this small room, okay, and a man came and no one in the house, and he opened the door and he saw what? A ghost. Okay, so he will be frightened. And here she tried to explain the situation, try to help him to understand that she is only Mrs. Richard, not a ghost, okay? Saying it's only me. So imagine, just like in the picture, she said it's only me, okay? And it is the house is empty. So the man here believed that this is a real ghost, but it was too late. Too late here, it means this attempt to help him will be failed. When here she tried to explain the situation, but actually she failed, okay, in her attempt, because they say it was too late, okay? The man let out a cry and jumped back several pieces. So he shouted and went back, okay? When Mrs. Richard walked toward him, he fled, slamming the door behind him. Again, she insisted on explaining the situation. Okay, when she said, it's only me, on his face, it was clear that he was frightened, that he jumped back several pieces. He went back and let out a cry. So he shouted and went back. Okay? But Mrs. Richard insisted on explaining the situation. So walked toward him. Okay? He fled. What does mean fled? Run away or escaped. Okay? Slamming the door behind him. What does mean slamming the door? Closing the door strongly. Okay? So this is the idea as we explained. Now, who can give me a short summary about the whole passage? What, okay, did you understand? Yes?
It's a funny passage. It talks about a woman who joined Mrs. Richards. She was alone at home after her husband had gone to work and her children to school. She was too excited to do any housework that morning because she would be going to a passenger's party with her husband.
Good. Good.
Okay. Her costume was consisted of only a sheet.
A sheet, yes.
She went upstairs to try it on.
Good.
After put it on, she went downstairs to find out if it is suitable to her or not.
Very good.
She heard a note at the front door. She realized, she thought that it must be a baker because she told him to come.
Good.
And left the bread on the kitchen table.
Good. What happened later?
She quickly hid in the storeroom, not wanting
Yes.
to frighten the poor man.
Very good.
But the surprise was the door of the storeroom opened.
Which
and,
means that he's
and
not the
he wasn't
baker.
He was the man from the electricity board. He came to read the meter.
Good. And he
And
saw,
he saw a ghost in front of her.
actually he saw Mrs. Richard, but he
But
thought,
she was disguised as a ghost.
so here there is a misunderstanding.
Yes.
Okay?
She tried to explain the situation and calm him down by saying it's only me.
But it make it worse.
Make it worse.
Okay?
He's
Makes it
frightened
worse,
and
yes.
escaped, and
Closing the door behind him. Okay, very good. Thank you so much and see you again in another lecture. Okay? Good.